All right, Mr. Ghere back again. Going to go over solve by factoring worksheet. This is the first one. There are two. If you get it on the first one, then I wouldn't worry about doing the second one. Okay, but again, just want to give you some practice and let you be successful hopefully. So again, do these and then throw a couple on the slideshow and you should be good. So I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, especially the first 9. All right, after we get through those, then we're going to have to take a little bit more time, and then we'll talk about the back as well of the worksheet. Okay, so number 1, trinomial. We're going to solve all these by factoring. So I'm just going to make this 2 parentheses. 2 numbers that multiply together to be 6 and add together to be -5 are -2 and -3. So if those are my factors, my solutions are the opposites of my factors. So my solutions are x equals 2 and x equals 3. Done. 2, you could solve this one with square roots. Add 9, take the square root, get plus or minus 3. Or you could factor it to be the difference of 2 squares, x plus 3 and x minus 3. My answers are then the opposites of the factors. So x equals 3 and x equals -3. Number 3, factor that to be x minus 4 and x plus 3 equals 0. All right, so my answers then are x equals 4 and x equals -3. Number 4, another trinomial. 2 numbers that multiply together to be -8 and add together to be +2 are +4 and -2. So those are my factors. My solutions are the opposites. X equals -4 is one answer and x equals +2 is the other. Number 6, we're going to factor out a common term of x. That's going to leave us with x times x plus 6 equals 0. So x equals 0 and x equals -6 are my solutions. Number 6, difference of 2 squares. Again, you could add 25 and take the square root, probably faster to do it that way. Or we could factor this to be the difference of 2 squares, x plus 5 and x minus 5 equals 0. So my solutions are the opposites, x equals -5 and x equals +5, or x equals plus or minus 5 altogether. 7, factor out a common term of an x. Let me slide this up. All right, so we're going to factor an x out of number 7. That's going to leave us with x times x minus 8 equals 0. So if we have a factor of just an x, or a multiple of x, one of our solutions is going to be 0. And this is going to give us a solution of 8. Again, number 8 should say equals 0. Must have copied and pasted that one from the from the notes. So I get x minus 6 and x minus 4. Since they equal 0, then the zero product property applies. So my answers are the opposites of my factors, x equals 6 and x equals 4. Number 9, 2 numbers that multiply together to be 30 and add together to be 11 are 6 and 5. All right, so my answers are x equals -6 and x equals -5. We're done. 10, same idea. Again, you could add 121 and take the square root and get x equals plus or minus 11 if you want to do it like we did last week. Or factor this to be x plus 11 and x minus 11 equals 0. So my answers are x equals -11 and x equals +11. Okay, so again, you got to be able to factor to solve by factoring. Okay, 11, 12. We don't have it set equal to 0, so the zero product property wouldn't work. So in order to make it set equal to 0, we're just going to manipulate the equation by moving things to the left. On number 11, I'm going to add 18, so I'm going to get x squared plus 9x plus 18 equals 0. Now it's ready to use the zero product property, so I can factor this to be x plus 3 and x plus 6 equals 0. So then x equals -3 and x equals -6. Those are my 2 answers. Same thing on number 12. I'm going to add 8x to both sides, so I'm going to get 4x squared plus 8x equals 0. All right, when I do that, now I can factor a 4x out of both things. We want to factor out the greatest common term. That's going to leave me with x plus 2. Now, x, 4x, anything times x gives us a solution of x equals 0, and this factor gives me a solution of x equals -2. All right. 13, we're going to have to manipulate the equation again. I'm going to subtract 7x to get it to the left and add 12. So I'm going to get x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. I'm going to factor that to be x minus 4 and x minus 3 equals 0. So then x equals 4 and x equals 3, opposites of my factors. Number 14, I'm going to subtract 3x and subtract 2. That's going to give me x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. Factor a trinomial into the product of two binomials. X and x, what multiplies together to be negative 12 and adds together to be positive 1 is positive 4 and negative 3. My solutions are the opposites of those factors, so x equals negative 4 and x equals positive 3. We're done. All right, number 15. If I had to solve this on a test, I would probably add 100, divide by 4, and take the square root and get x is plus or minus 5. If you want to factor them, that's fine. 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5. Now this one has a little bit of work left. We can't just look at it and say, all right, my answer is the opposites of the factors because of those 2's in there. So we're going to have to say, okay, 2x plus 5 equals 0. So if I subtract 5, all right, I get 2x equals negative 5. And then I divide by 2, I get x equals negative 5 halves. Okay. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Let's start over on that one. Let's do that again. 4x squared minus 100 equals 0. So even I mess up sometimes. So it's been a while. So let's add, or let's factor this. That's going to give me 2x plus 10 times 2x minus 10. I don't know where I got those 5's from. Okay, this is going to be better. Again, we can't just look at it and say what the answers are. So we're going to say 2x plus 10 equals 0. Subtract 10, that gives me 2x equals negative 10. Divide by 2, I get x equals negative 5. That's better. Okay, on the other side, 2x minus 10 equals 0. Add 10, I get 2x equals 10. Divide by 2, I get x equals 5. Okay, so that's doing that. That's how you solve that one by factoring. Okay, sorry about that. But that's the answers to the front. Some review problems on the back or the second page. Okay, again, on this one, this is from last unit. We could FOIL that factored form to get standard form. That would give me x squared plus 4x plus 3. All right. And then if I wanted to change it to vertex form, I could complete the square. I could take half of 4, which is 2, square it. So I would add 4 and subtract 4. Remember, you put those 3 together and you're going to get x plus 2 squared. You put those 2 together, you get the minus 1 at the end, and then it's in vertex form. Graph it. The vertex is left 2 and down 1. From the origin, the regular jumps. All right, the first form, factored form, tells you that it opens up and it has x-intercepts of negative 1 and negative 3. Standard form tells you that it opens upward, has a y-intercept of 0, 3. And vertex form tells you it opens up and has a vertex of negative 2, negative 1. Okay, number 17, same idea. This time we're given the equation in standard form. So to get to factored form, you have to factor. I factored out an x and got x times x minus 4. All right, to complete the square, I took half of negative 4, which is negative 2, and squared it. That's 4. So I would have added 4 and subtracted 4. Those 3 together become x minus 2, the quantity squared, with a minus 4 at the end. Okay, and again, if it's in factored form, it tells you that one tells you it opens upward. It has x-intercepts of 0, 0, and 4, 0. Okay, standard form tells us that it opens upward with a y-intercept of 0, 0, and vertex form tells us that it opens upward with a vertex of 2, negative 4. And the graph is to the right. Vertex is right 2 and down 4 with regular jumps opening upward. Okay, so if the front page, you got those all right, you know what you're doing. You know, I'd move on. I'd make some slides for the slideshow and tell you that you can get going on that. And again, if you have any questions, you know, just send me something and let me know. All right. So again, stay safe and hope to see you again before the end of the school year, but we'll do what they tell us to do to stay safe. So have a great day. Thank you.